With the launch of the newest Royal Caribbean ship, Utopia of the Seas, dedicated to 3- and 4-day sailings, many people are starting to wonder, is it better to go on 2 short cruises back-to-back or 1 7-day sailing? We have done a back-to-back cruise 4 times in the last 2 years, with the most recent one on Utopia. There are a number of videos on the internet that show you how the back-to-back process works, so I won't cover it here. Instead, I want to go over 12 surprising things that we discovered that make a huge difference between a 3+4-day cruise when compared to a 7-day sailing. And 3 of these things were different on Utopia than other back-to-back cruises we took. Now, some of these are going to be pros and some are going to be cons, and others are going to be split right in the middle depending on your preference. So I'll quickly go over them so you can decide what is best for you. And if you have any questions about back-to-back cruising or other considerations you'd like to add, let me know in the comments. When most people think of back-to-back cruising, they think in terms of combining 2 different sailings to make their vacation longer and oftentimes visit more ports. For example, stacking a 2-week-long Eastern and Western Caribbean sailings to make that long 14-day cruise. But that's not what we're talking about here, because we are still talking about the same 7-day vacation. The simple fact is that on 2 short cruises, you will visit less ports because they often repeat the same stops and then add a sea day to the 4-day cruise. So is that a negative? Well, not necessarily. Here are some things to consider. First, if you cruise a lot, like we do, and have been to the same ports over and over again, you may just prefer to stay on the ship and enjoy it when there are less people. In that case, you really don't care where you go. Another thing to consider is that all major cruise lines have a private island that they visit on shorter Bahama cruises. And the beauty of them is that it's a free beach stop and you don't have to pay for a beach resort in a different port. So food is included. You have drink packages that usually work there. You might even be able to use your Wi-Fi package there. And on a back-to-back, most likely, you'll get to visit the port twice in 1 week. Now, personally, I would rather go to Coco Cay any day of the week than go to some of the ports that we've already been to a dozen times. Many people look forward to endless options of amazing food on a cruise, and there are some important differences. If you're sailing on a 7-day cruise, the menus are going to change for every day of your cruise. On a short 3- and 4-day cruises, they will repeat the same menus and we'll just add 1 more for the 4th day. Of course, there's still plenty of options to choose from, but some things are going to be missing. For example, there's no lobster night on either 3- or 4-day cruises because it's usually reserved for the second formal night on day 6 on Royal Caribbean. The next point is one of our favorite things about back-to-back cruises, and that is that you can buy an unlimited specialty dining package for just 1 leg of your cruise. I recently made a video going over the biggest reasons not to buy the unlimited dining package, so check it out here and in the description. But the back-to-back was one of the exceptions to those reasons. You see, we get the best of both worlds. We get to enjoy the included dining during half of the cruise, and then all-you-can-eat specialty dining for the other half, which saves a ton of money, of course, if you want to go to specialty restaurants. The same applies to the drink package. For a 7-day cruise, it can cost a ton, and many people find that they just can't drink enough every day for a week to make it worth it. Instead, you can just buy it for 1 of the cruise legs and drink all you want for a few days, and then maybe hit the gym for the other half of the cruise to work out those liquid calories. Now here's a little perk that many people don't know about. If you're bringing things on board, like let's say you bring wine on board, you can bring twice as much because you are on 2 cruises. And then the second benefit is that if you forget to bring something special, God forbid you forgot to bring your medicine or something important, or you just run out of something, the turnaround day in the US port is perfect for getting supplies. Internet plans are usually priced per day, and the best pricing you can get is if you buy it ahead of time for the whole cruise. So here's how you can save some money. On our back-to-back cruises, we would usually buy internet for just one of the legs, and it's usually the 4-day cruise because it's during the weekdays, and then we can stay connected to work for any emergencies. Then we would unplug for the 3-day weekend cruise, and they don't need to be bothering me with work on Saturday night anyway on my cruise. And speaking of being connected, your phone works on the turnaround day, so that is one less day that you will need to buy internet for. If you enjoy formal nights, you will find that they are a lot more relaxed on a 3- and 4-day cruises. It was actually quite different on Utopia than our other sailings on Freedom and Independence of the Seas. I think it was a more expensive sailing on a brand new ship, and many people were dressed up in formal or evening elegant clothing. On the smaller ships, most people do not really dress up nearly as much. Now, if you love those theme nights like Caribbean, White Night, Red Night, 70s nights, most of the time they will be repeated on the short back-to-back cruises. On a 7-day cruise, you may have twice as many different theme nights, so if that's your thing, you might find that the repeating is boring. On many week-long cruises, especially on larger ships like Oasis and Icon class, there's going to be enough scheduled shows and activities that you can have non-stop entertainment for the whole duration of your cruise. If you go on 2 short cruises, you will have a repeat of the options on both legs of the cruise. So on one hand, you will have less variety to choose from and roughly about half as many entertainment options on those short cruises. On the other hand, if you like to go to a few shows or activities a week, then the back-to-back allows you more options for times when these shows are playing. So instead of having to choose from, let's say, 2 different scheduled times for a water show, you may have now 5 different times to choose from. And it's the same for all the other activities and game shows like the Sexiest Man contest or the Crazy Quest. So it's really going to depend on if you like that non-stop, packed to the max entertainment schedule for your cruise, or you just like to have some options here and there. The cost of a back-to-back versus a 7-day cruise is going to vary all over the place, so you don't automatically save money by doing 2 short cruises. Sometimes it's going to cost more, other times it's going to cost less, but sometimes you can find amazing deals. For example, when we booked our Utopia cruise, they were running a great onboard credit promotion. It was $75 a person. So normally this would allow us to have $150 for a week-long cruise, but because we were taking 2 cruises, we ended up with $300 onboard credit. This is another place where our savings really get stacked up. As Diamonds on Royal Caribbean, we get some things for free. So with a back-to-back sailing, we're technically cruising on 2 separate cruises, and some things get doubled up. So for example, we end up getting 2 free days of internet and 2 free photos per person versus 1 for a 7-day sailing. We also get double the coupons that we would normally only use once per sailing. So we have to address one of the negatives, and that is the fact that you kind of do lose one of the mornings for the turnaround. You have to get up early, you have to gather at the specific location, wait for all the passengers to disembark. On Utopia, we waited in the dining room for about an hour and a half, but it can take longer. In Florida ports, you have to get off the ship and go through the terminal and the customs, and then you get back on the ship and cabins are still not open until later that afternoon. Of course, all of these are not a big deal, and you quickly forget about it because while everybody else is sad because their vacation is over, you get to come right back on the ship and start it all over again. If you don't book early enough, or try to save some money with a guarantee cabin rate, you will probably have to change rooms. And we've done this on our recent Utopia sailing and another back-to-back cruise. Now in that case, you do have to pack up all your items in the middle of your cruise, other than the clothes on the hangers. Your room steward will move your belongings to the next cabin. Now I would highly recommend booking early and working with a travel agent who can easily check cabin availability for both cruises to get you the same cabin. It is really a pain in the behind if you're trying to do that yourself on a cruise line's website by going through the 100 pages that they take you through. So definitely consider that if you're going to do the back-to-back. For people who may worry about encountering health issues in faraway third world countries, they may feel safer by being closer to the US and returning to the US port in the middle of their week-long vacation. And then there's the dreaded getting sick on the cruise worry that many people have. And if you get sick after a few days on the ship and have to interrupt your vacation, your travel insurance should cover the cost of canceling the second leg of the cruise. Obviously check on that. But frankly, I'd rather do that than be confined to my cabin sick, or worse yet, be quarantined in the medical bay for half the cruise. And if you found this video helpful, then hit that like button and then watch these videos next.